How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. The Cincinnati Bengals find themselves in, well, a very different position I think anybody would have expected entering this year's draft. First of all, they come out of the Super Bowl. Second of all, they addressed what felt like their major draft concerns, bringing in 3 new faces to this offensive line, improving this offensive line, and again, working with some in-house pieces to go with those guys as well here going into next season. That being said, I think when you look at the Bengals, you have to consider their biggest draft need for this particular draft. Of course, you want to draft best position available. You don't want to reach if you don't have to. But at the same time, you kind of want to reach if you can. You just came out of the Super Bowl. You have a quarterback on his rookie deal that's going to be getting paid stupid money when that rookie deal is over. That's going to make bringing players in and keeping guys under the cap very difficult. That being said, if you can find a guy to plug and play or bolster up a position of need in this draft, even if it is reaching right now, it seems tough. But you really are in this really tight win a Super Bowl window. And you look and say, okay, yeah, it'd be great to go offensive line if somebody falls first round, because you do need offensive line for the future. You want to have them young guys to build around because you drafted, or you signed some veterans. You signed some free agents, got the veterans. They're not going to be here the next 10 years. But if you get somebody on the draft, maybe they can be. It's a very valid point. But Bengals did just kind of, I would say, bolster this offensive line and turn it into an average to above average offensive line compared to just an absolutely pitiful bottom of the league one last year. And an average above average is all they're going to need. It really is. And look what Joe Burrow did with no protection. It's going to be pretty scary. That being said, I don't think they go offensive line unless somebody falls drastically in the draft and they say, okay, we can't pass this gap. Then they go offensive line. Then you talk defense. I think that's their focal point here is defense. And what I'm looking at is I'm looking at the cornerbacks. I don't want to be the negative one. I don't want to be the pessimistic one. But every single one of these Bengals cornerbacks outplayed their expectations last year. Every single one of them. Kaiir Elam, Awuzie, Mike Hilton, great slot corner. He played outstanding last season. You brought in Awuzie off a just not good Dallas Cowboys secondary the year before. You did not have the expectations, I don't think, that you've seen out of Awuzie last year. He more than exceeded those. Kaiir Elam, he's a former first-round draft pick, but he's bounced around. He's struggled. Last year, he did play, despite the start of the year where he was slow, he did play really well. The question is, can you expect those 3 guys to maintain that going into this season? Specifically, Kaiir Elam. Guys have career years. It happens. They regress. I don't think you can afford a regression out of a guy like Kaiir Elam. And if you lose Kaiir Elam, you're keeping Hilton in the slot, which means you're down a CB2, at least thus far with free agency. So I think what you say here is you have to look at the cornerback position. You can't bank on all 3 of these guys playing like they did last year. You'd love to. But if there's any sort of regression, you're going to see a bigger hole in that Bengals secondary. So I'm looking dead center, cornerback position. I know there's been some talk about Booth falling to these guys, Clemson player. I'm not feeling as good about it. I'm concerned about his tackling. He did allow quite a few yards, 316 this year. For a first-round pick, that's really high, especially when you're Clemson, as you know, most of us Ohio State fans, even maybe Cincinnati fans that follow college football. No, Clemson has a pretty cakewalk schedule for the most part. So when a corner on their team struggles, you do wonder about that. Of course, they play more aggressive style off or defense, or they're forcing their guys into more one-on-one coverages and so forth. Nonetheless, I just liked a lot more what I've seen out of Florida cornerback Kaiir Elam. Kaiir Elam, his draft stocks really fluctuate. It was mid early, then he was falling. Now he's falling back to mid late. We're seeing him talk about maybe even being a reach for the Bengals at 31. I don't think this guy is a reach at all. I think this is a fantastic player, talented player for the Bengals to pick up at 31. First of all, you really have to consider what this Bengals secondary is going to see this year. They're a first place team last year, which means they're going to play a first place team schedule this year. If you're not completely familiar with the way the NFL scheduling works, every single team in your division is going to play another division, and another division in NFC, another division in AFC. So you're going to play those 8 teams, and you're going to play your 6 teams in a division, and then you throw in, one extra NFC team since there's 17 games now. So you're going to play those games, but then the rest of your schedule, you're going to play top of the division teams in opposing divisions in the AFC. So the Bengals will play what? Bills, Chiefs, Colts? Bills, Chiefs, Colts. Is that what it is? Somewhere around there. Somewhere, don't have the exact date, can't think of it right now, but point being, they're going to play a tougher schedule. And when you look at the AFC, this is all of a sudden just an absolute, plus the Browns now, Watson over there, gonna make things more difficult. Aside from whether he should be even playing this year, he's a tough quarterback to play against. Bengals gonna have a gauntlet to go up against when it comes to the quarterbacks, because the quarterbacks in the AFC are absolutely loaded. That being said, you look at a guy like Elam. This guy does, I tell you what, he looks like the receiver out there a lot of the times. He really does. The way he plays the football, the way he gets down, the way he gets in front of it, he's an excellent defender. I like the way this guy plays the deep ball. I think he high points the football really well. And when you consider you're going to be seeing Patrick Mahomes and company, you consider you're going to be seeing Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, these guys. Again, Amari Cooper now as well. You want a guy that's going to be good in the secondary, holding his coverage on those deep routes, being able to control those guys, keep them close. And I think this is a guy that's got the athleticism, the speed, and again, just the ability to go up there and make those plays. So having a guy that can control the big plays, big plus. What I also love about Elam is you watch the way this guy plays, not only just in, the Alabama game, for example, going up against a first-round pick expected to be in Williamson as well out there at wide receiver, where he played exceptionally well. But you watch the way this guy plays throughout most games where he does a really good job of shedding those blocks, getting around blockers, and making his way to the ball carrier and making those open field tackles. I think one of the biggest things of the Bengals' success last year, not just getting a pass rush, but it's the fact that they was an outstanding open field tackling team last season, specifically on those real short routes, those bubble screens. You've seen the players get to the ball carrier. And it was years past where the Bengals are struggling to tackle the players in open space that was just killing them. If you can just make the tackles, you get off the field. And if you can get a guy like that on his team that is an excellent tackler, again, it's a plus. And I think that's a really important trait in anybody you bring into the NFL on defense. The one thing you have to be concerned about this guy, 7 penalties, 10 games last year. He does happen to be a guy that grabs the receiver downfield. You got to be careful with that. I think that's one of those things where, is it a concern? Sure. But at the same time, it's no secret that the NFL's corners are specialists at getting away with tugging, pushing off, whatever. Same with the wide receivers. Getting away with the fine-tuned things that the refs don't notice or don't allow. You just have to learn the proper technique. And I think that's something with this guy. You say, you can't grab him here, but you can grab him here. You can't do this, but you do this. Keep your hands close there. Don't get caught grabbing on a turnaround. I believe that's stuff that can be taught. I want to believe that's something he can learn, incorporate into his game, and improve from. You take those penalties away, again, they're killer. 7 of them, it really is. Especially when you got a chance to get off the field or it was an unnecessary penalty. They're big plays. But I think it's something you can improve on. That's what we're thinking though. Kaiir Elam for the Bengals 31. Love you guys' thoughts. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.